Can we predict the playstyles of the green and blue starter decks for the new One Piece TCG? Let's talk about it. What's up, crew? Welcome back to The Other Decks. My name's Casual Dobo, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of theory crafting, a little discussion about the green and blue starter decks for the One Piece TCG. Now, if you haven't been following, or if you're not part of the Discord, which you can be if you want to, link down below, there have been a couple of leaks, a couple of reveals for the red and the purple starter decks. And there's some basic information on the green and blue ones as well, but a lot of the information we have, in terms of effects and stuff, are for red and blue. And I was watching a video by AsserFD Chaz, and he was breaking down the effects for the Kaido and the Ulti that we've had sort of pseudo leak revealed, as well as their effects. And it kind of got me wondering about the play styles of it. Now, I think we sort of knew based on the rules, as well as some of the things that we know about other Bandai card games such as Digimon, which I also do content for, that color identity is pretty important for them. But watching his video and hearing sort of effects, I started to think, what if it's not just color identity? What if it's color identity and tribal/faction identity? So we roughly know what, pirate crews are going to be part of these starter decks, right? So purple is going to be Animal Kingdom Pirates, red is going to be the Straw Hats, and then for the green and the blue, for green, we do have Kid, and it's going to be around the Worst Generation. And then for blue, we have Crocodile as the assumed leader for the Seven Warlords. So piecing all of this together, I'm going to try and predict what the green and the blue starter decks are going to do. But first, let's do a little bit of a summary and explore what the purple and the red ones seemingly do. So let's hop on over to, I guess it's not really a screen, I guess the graphics board? Alright, and we're here, wherever here is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Kaido and the Ulti, sort of the inspiration behind my thought process. Also, just as a heads up, I am reading translations by Helio over in the Discord group, so thank you again, Helio. But yeah, let's start with Kaido. So Kaido, from the starter deck, is a leader, life 5, so you have 5 life cards that you put onto your field at the start of the turn, or at the start of the match, and then power 5,000. For Emperors, Animal Kingdom Pirates, and it has an ability, activate, main, Dawn -7. Once per turn, you can trash one of your opponent's life. So, what does that mean for those who aren't as familiar with the rules? I mean, they did just come out. So, activate main Dawn -7 means that you have to actually return 7 of your Dawn cards back into your Dawn deck, which seems like a really steep cost, but you do get to trash one of your opponent's life. And then talking about the Ulti real quick, because they kind of, come together when I'm thinking about the faction identity. Ulti is a character card, cost 4, power 5,000. Animal Kingdom Pirates has the ability, on play, Dawn -1. Play up to 1, costs 4 or lower, page 1 from your hand, and also has counter plus 2,000. I'm not so much looking at the counter, but I'm looking at that on-play ability. So once again, we see Dawn -1, which means you need to return one of your Dawn cards back into your Dawn deck. And so seeing both of these, it makes me think that Purple's color identity revolves around returning and recycling the Dawn, particularly sacrificing it and putting it into your Dawn deck. Now I started to think, why would Kaido's ability be good? Because -7 to essentially trash one of your opponent's life doesn't seem that worth it, but it got me thinking, maybe this is building up to a mid to long range OTK style deck, right? Where you're building up your board in order to essentially win in a single turn, and then use Kaido's ability, trash one, and then you put in the last swing. And I think Ulti supports this theory because she plays another character card for free. So I think it ultimately led me to this idea that the Animal Kingdom Pirates, their faction identity is going to be swarming the board. If you've seen any of the Wano arcs, there is a lot of Animal Kingdom Pirates. They are everywhere. And so board swarm seems to be something that faction could do very well. and it'd be very thematic. So that's what we have for purple. Let's hop into red, and here we see the Luffy leader card. So Monkey D. Luffy from the starter deck, leader, has 5 life, 5,000 power, activate on main once per turn, grant up to one of your rested Dawn cards to one of your characters or this leader. And for those of you who don't remember, if you attach Dawn onto a character or your leader, for that turn it will gain plus 1,000. That is the most common Dawn. I think that's the only Dawn we've seen. So at least for this first set, the starter deck, plus 1,000 power for the turn. It's still up for debate whether a rested Dawn can give you the plus 1,000 or not. So that is still up in the air. But we see that so far it seems like red's identity is going to be related to attaching Dawn, as opposed to the cycling or trashing of Dawn that we saw with purple. And that theory is supported by the Jimbe card that we saw, where 3 to play, 5,000 power, Dawn times 1. So if you see this symbol, it means that you need 1 attached Dawn onto this character in order to give it this ability. So Dawn times 1 when attacking. For this turn, give power plus 1,000 to up to one of your leaders or characters other than this one. So really good support. You get to put a Dawn underneath Jimbe, which gives Jimbe plus 1,000, and then give another plus 1,000 to another person. And so this leads me to believe that the Straw Hats faction identity is going to be power gain, right? Whether it's through their own effects like Jimbe, or through just simply attaching Dawn onto your characters and your leader. Alright, so those are the colors that we've sort of seen, and there's obviously some more examples if you've been following, but I'm not going to get too into it because I do want to get into sort of the meat and potatoes of this video, which is what do I think the green and the blue starter decks are going to do. So there's 2 things I'm looking at: color identity and then faction identity. And then in terms of color identity, it seems that the color identity has some sort of involvement with Dawn, right? With purple, we brought it back to Dawn deck. With red, we're attaching it. So, based on what we know of the rules, there's only one other use of Dawn that hasn't been touched yet, and that's activating Dawn. And that is exactly where I think the green starter deck is going to go. So what do we know? Kid is the leader of this. The deck is tentatively titled The Worst Generation. And in my opinion, I think green's color identity is going to rest or use our Dawn to suspend our opponent's characters. I know, a wild concept. Obviously, I am a Digimon player. I've made a bunch of Digimon videos. If you know Digimon, you know that green is really good at suspending our opponent's Digimon, and I think green is pretty much going to do the same in the One Piece TCG. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what does resting our opponent's characters have to do with Kid or any of the Worst Generation? Well, those particular pirates are incredibly powerful, and they will stop at nothing to reach their goal, and they don't care who gets in their way. And thus, the faction identity is going to be piercing. That's right, the Worst Generation is going to be filled with piercing things. So this seems very obvious coming from Digimon, but the 2 things that this starter deck is probably going to do is rest your Dawn to suspend your opponent's characters, and then just go ahead and swing at them. So to demonstrate this, I did create a couple of proxies or pseudo sample cards of what this might look like. So starting off, I'm going to go with Eustass Kid, our leader, and his ability is activate main 5, rest all of your opponent's character cards. So obviously this fits in very much with my theory on green's identity, but also from a flavor standpoint, Kid's ability of magnetism can hold people down pretty well. And so I thought it'd be cool if it was sort of this like pseudo, not a board wipe obviously, but board control would be pretty cool. And it pairs well with our sample character card, which is Killer. So activate 1, this character gains piercing until end of turn. And so yeah, I wanted to balance out the use of Dawn here. I think Kid's activate 5 to rest all of our opponent's characters is a pretty good payoff. It's a lot of Dawn, but it can potentially go pretty well if you have a lot of piercing. And then while I was very tempted to make Killer just inherently have piercing, I thought, let's use that color identity of activating our Dawn, and then let's give it Piercing Plus. It's only the first set, the first starter deck. Giving something piercing inherently felt a little too strong. And yes, I'm saying this after they inherently gave Luffy Rush. But yeah, that is my theory on green. And that kind of leaves blue in a weird spot, right? Because there's no other Dawn thing that sort of happens based on the rules as we know it. There's 3 main things. But there is one secret Dawn ability that hasn't been covered yet. Ramp. If you're a Magic player, you know what the word ramp means, but for those of you who don't, when you are ramping, you often play more than one land or find a way to get more mana than the turn would suggest. So I think Blue's color identity is actually going to be ramping their own Dawn, meaning that they can get more than the 2 per turn, which means that they can do quite a few things fairly early. Going on to the faction identity, it's weird because those 7 warlords aren't all part of the same crew. I mean, neither was the worst generation, but their abilities kind of range from all over the place. And so I kind of leaned into that for the tribal identity here. And I just said that they're going to be ability heavy characters. And that ties in well with the idea that Blue is going to be ramping up their Dawn, because you can have, you know, these activate main 3, main 5, and still feel like you're in a good spot in the early to mid game. But yeah, so let's take a look at the samples that I created for this, starting with Crocodile, our leader. Dawn -X, return X number of Dawn to your Dawn deck. For each Dawn returned this way, target an opponent's character card and reduce its power by 1000. So I did incorporate a little bit of that power drain, that life drain into Crocodile's ability here by giving it power reduction. I was about to say DP reduction. For anyone familiar with Digimon, this is a mainstay of yellow, but I thought it'd be pretty cool for Crocodile to have this as a sort of draining and weakening their opponents. And yes, while this is a Dawn -X ability, because of Blue's inherent ability to ramp, I didn't necessarily find this to be a problem. And then for our character sample, I chose Boa Hancock, Dawn ×3, so it has an attached Dawn ability. One of your opponent's characters cannot attack or block until the end of their next turn. So this is a very Blue thing of stunning. Is attached 3 Dawn cards, so it is kind of a steep cost, but once again, assuming that Blue's color identity is ramping up our Dawn, 3, honestly not that bad. And as I'm reading this, I just realized that none of these samples I made demonstrate how you would ramp up the Dawn. So I'm just gonna like go off the top of my head and say probably their event cards, probably some lower level, you know, cheaper to play character cards that can, you know, say like on play add 1 Dawn card to the cost area. Yeah, when I built these, I was already assuming it is on the field. It has been ramped, and now these are all things you can do with your ramped Dawn. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the 2 colors that we haven't gotten many reveals from yet, the green and the blue starter decks. I think that green's identity is going to be in activating or resting their Dawn. In particular, the worst generation starter deck is going to activate their Dawn in order to suspend our opponent's characters cards, while also giving our characters piercing so we can go through them and then do some damage onto our opponent's life. And then as for blue, I think blue is going to be the ramp up color, where we're going to be having effects that give us more than the 2 Dawn per turn. And then once we have that Dawn out on the field, we can do some pretty crazy things with it, whether it be DP reduction, whether it be stunning. I think the 7 Warlords deck is going to be very ability heavy. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think that this is, you know, a somewhat viable idea? Do you think I've gone off the deep end with some of these things? What do you think green and blue are going to do? And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And if you're enjoying the content as a whole, whether it be the One Piece stuff, the Digimon stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're growing an awesome community here, and I'm excited to be exploring another card game and kind of exploring it from the start and being there with everyone else, getting excited about these reveals. Once again, I'm hanging out in the Discord if you want to see that, link down below. And as always, remember, build what you like, play what you love. And I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good one.